Hello and welcome to this history tutorial on changes in the standard of living in Weimar, Germany. This is for Edexcel GCSE Weimar and Nazi Germany. Today we will cover a number of ways the standard of living changed, including wages, housing and unemployment insurance. We will also examine the changes in the position of women in work, politics and leisure. For those Germans in work, wages and working conditions improved in Weimar, Germany. The working week was shortened and real wages rose by 25% from 1925 to 1928. German workers were some of the best paid in Europe. However, improvements in real wages didn't really benefit the middle classes, many of whom had been bankrupted by the hyperinflation of 1923. Help for the unemployed improved as well. The Unemployment Insurance Act of 1927 charged workers 3% of their wages, but in return provided an average of 60 marks per week in unemployment and sickness benefit if they lost their jobs. Unemployment fell from 2 million in 1926 to 1.3 million in 1928. Despite the general fall in unemployment though, it was still high amongst professions such as lawyers, civil servants and teachers. War veterans were also offered help. Under the 1920 Reich Pension Law, pensions were paid throughout the 1920s to 750,000 war veterans, 400,000 war widows and 200,000 parents of dead servicemen. As well as improvements to wages and unemployment insurance, the Weimar government made a significant investment in housing. Between 1924 and 1931, more than 2 million new homes were built. By 1929, the state was spending 33 times more on housing than it had been in 1913. The housing programmes introduced by the government were so effective that by 1928 homelessness had been reduced by more than 60%. Politically and socially, there were drastic changes for women in Germany in the 1920s. Politically, in 1919, all women over 20 years old were given the right to vote, and many took an increasing interest in politics. By 1932, 112 women had been elected to the Reichstag, and almost 10% of its members were female. There was also significant social change for women in Weimar, Germany. Women enjoyed much more freedom socially than had been the case before the Weimar Republic. They went out unescorted, drank, and could smoke in public. They were also fashion conscious, often wearing relatively short skirts, makeup, and having their hair cut short. In terms of employment opportunities, there were growing numbers of women working in new areas such as the civil service, teaching, or social work, in shops, or on the assembly line. By 1933, there were 100,000 women teachers and 3,000 doctors. Despite what seems like progress though, after the First World War the better paid jobs had been taken back by men, and married women who worked were often criticised for neglecting their homes. However, when it came to pay, women had made a huge stride forward. The Weimar Constitution introduced equal pay in the professions, giving German women some of the most advanced legal rights of any country in Europe. Unfortunately, this equality was not the same in all areas of the workplace. In industry, trade unions were dominated by men. They opposed women workers and equal pay and conditions for those women that did work. They were especially hostile to married women, as it was felt that women needed to focus on being wives and mothers. In summary, there were significant improvements to the standard of living in Germany. Wages and working conditions improved. Unemployment fell from 2 million in 1926 to 1.3 million in 1928. And between 1924 and 1931, more than 2 million new homes were built. There were also drastic changes to the rights of women, including that in 1919, all women over 20 were given the right to vote. Women also enjoyed much more freedom socially, and there were growing numbers of women working in new areas such as the civil service, teaching, social work, in the shops or on the assembly line. To get further help, visit history.outwood.com, see your teacher in school, or check out quiz.outwood.com for those sweet revision quizzes. You can also follow the Outwood Humanities team on Twitter at @OGATHumanities. Until next time, that was a little bit of history.